Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Yep, we are here. We are live. It is Monday. It is the 24th of March. I don't know if you've noticed, but the trees are starting to go yellow and red. And oh, Leigh-Ann, your microphone just had a complete direction in front of you.
Yeah,
It
just
started sliding right down.
straight to my nether regions.
Maybe the microphone knows something we don't.
You know?
Well, very exciting. We got a lot to do today. We got a lot of people to talk to, things to do, places to go, and you're going to be a part of that with us this morning. So thanks for coming and waking up so early. Yeah, people do.
Yeah.
And, I woke up really early on Saturday for some reason.
Oh, you see, that happens.
Yeah, and I liked it.
Yeah, I also woke up at about, well, my cat woke me up at about 4 yesterday.
Ugh.
And I was really angry because, today is early. But I actually quite enjoyed it because at one point I'd already done a whole lot of stuff and it was 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, here we go. Just put that back up. There's a nice prayer from Dave to start things. Lord, grant me to greet the coming day in peace and with firm conviction that your will governs all. All right, well, there we go. There's one way to start the day.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of my friend when he was young. Their maid gave him a thing that's like a passage from the Bible, I think it is. And it's, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Isn't that part of the Alcoholics Anonymous first prayer?
You would know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't know that.
It sounds familiar. I've never been, but
I'll
it sounds
take your
familiar.
word for it. But yeah, okay, Leigh-Ann. No, well done, huh? So all right, we've got Dr. Hanan later on, so we can get into all kinds of things with him. We've got a guy. Remember the lion tamer, lion man that I told you about that didn't make it past?
Because we thought he'd been eaten by a lion.
We thought he'd been eaten, but no, he hasn't been eaten. He'll be joining us this morning, which is very
great.
exciting. Is that right, James? Okay. And there are no guests that you have invited for this morning who aren't actually on, who are on Wednesday that are going to sit around? No. Okay.
Shame, did those guys have to come back?
Yeah, of course they did. No, they were terrific. They were really fun.
Good.
They were fun to have here. So, all right, I've got a bunch of stuff to show you, which is funny and weird. And, we've been on a bit of a mad tear lately with like weird white people singing, and we're here to save democracy, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Like it's amazing to me how many people have visions of how important they are. Like a group of elderly white people are going to save democracy and they're singing about it. They really believe it. It's like delusions of grandeur, right? Instead of, well, we'll tidy up our neighborhood.
Yes.
No, we're going to save democracy. God has chosen us to save democracy.
I thought about that woman. I don't know if you remember her, as I was throwing away a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Had a bit of water in the bottom. Oh, yeah. Remember, she wanted to save
the trapped water.
All the trapped water in the world.
She was very concerned. This is a serious person who considered that all the trapped water, because she lives in LA or whatever, and she doesn't know that water actually exists in nature in the first place.
Yeah.
But in the second place, she was very worried that all the landfills filled with plastic bottles that had a little bit of water in, they were taking that water out of the water cycle and that we'd never get it back. It was lost for eternity.
Shame.
Anyway, I mean, it does make me before I empty.
Yeah,
before
now
I throw
I
a
drink
bottle
the
of
last
water
drop.
Or I throw it down, pour it out.
Throw it down the tap, the drain.
The drain. So a couple of things I wanted to get into this morning. We have some news. Apparently, Ford, the motor company, has raised concerns over South Africa's struggling transport and logistics infrastructure. They're not the first ones, obviously. There have been a couple of others who've said the same. They're warning inefficiencies in rail and ports are increasing costs and making local vehicle production less competitive. I really don't want to start our Monday by talking about the government because I just feel like it's such a moany, whiny, shitty thing to start with. But these guys I don't know what they do. Like, what is Cyril doing? I mean, like, besides, expressing solidarity with Palestine and going to meetings with other leaders where nothing gets done and everything gets decided.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Oh, let's move towards net zero. Climate change is real, but then nothing happens. And the real problem here is that we've got companies like Ford who want to be able to manufacture cars in South Africa, and they can't because our logistics and our infrastructure is so bad that now the ports and rail are making it too expensive for them to be able to do what they do. They can go and do this in Asia, and it'll cost them a fraction of what it costs here. So then we lose jobs. It's a very, very big problem. So the Ford Africa president, a guy called Neil Hill, highlighted that reliance on road and logistics bottlenecks threaten future investments. Similar concerns were raised by Volkswagen a while ago and by Toyota. They pointed to unreliable power supply as another problem, rising costs, and the competition from cheaper Asian imports as major challenges. The decline in local vehicle assembly threatens jobs and investment. Industry leaders are calling for policy changes to support domestic manufacturing. Well, policy changes, yes, but actually a government that was interested in doing things. And by government, I don't exempt all those parties that are in the GNU. They're also part of the government.
Yeah.
Like, get involved, you fuckers. That's why you're in there, aren't you?
It's embarrassing. It's got to the point where it's really embarrassing now.
They're so cuck at everything.
Yeah, just again driving in and looking at the state of everything, and the G20 summit on at the moment, and you see all the blue light brigades.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, and all these important people from all over the world who are now seeing. I mean, what what must it be like for them? They must be asking questions like, why are the roads like this? Why are the robots like this?
They must be saying, what the hell's wrong with this city?
Yeah.
Ricky says, I'm sure Cyril will be shocked about this news when he hears about it in 2030. Oh, what happened? I didn't realize. What a disaster. Oh, Joburg is not working? Why? How did that happen?
Mm.
It's unbelievable, that guy. He really just doesn't know. He lives in a bubble. He's the bubble boy.
Mm.
Oh, I watched 2 movies this weekend. You know, I had one of those lazy days yesterday where I did as little as possible. So I've been meaning to watch this movie for a long time. Reagan, the story of Ronald Reagan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who the actor is. It's something Quinn. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Not Quincy Jones.
No, man. Let me just see here quickly. Dennis Quaid. Sorry, Quinn.
Oh, Dennis
Quaid. Very good. I should have known that. Anyway, Dennis Quaid, very good. He plays Ronald Reagan. The woman who does Nancy is very good too, and gets the voice right and the look right and everything. He's actually very, very good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the greatest movie I've ever seen. Right?
Yeah.
There's not acting that's going to blow your mind or sequences that are just so evocative or make you nostalgic or any of that stuff. Because you see, Reagan was really president while we were just too young.
Mm.
But I do remember, because he was president and I was at that age, that's how he's always been my focus and simulacrum for what a president should be. So whenever I think of a president, I think of
he's like your benchmark.
A version of Ronald Reagan, because he was this kind of strong, no-nonsense guy, but he was a good, solid American, you know. We're not going to take it anymore, Mr. Gorbachev. You know, the kinds of things that he would do. He had a very strong set of principles. I mean, he was a tremendous guy. I think he makes all the other presidents look fairly kind of dorky and loose and not particularly dignified. Like Reagan had a strength about him.
Yeah.
He projected strength. And I don't think we've had a president. I mean, there was George H.W. Bush after that, who, you know, he's the one who threw up in the Japanese prime minister's lap or whatever. And there was Bill Clinton, who was constantly fucking interns.
Yeah.
Just so many interns. Just that
rows and rows
Oval
and
Office
rows
just
of
became
interns.
like you know those influencer, those girls, porn stars that are just like fucking their way through thousands of men, right?
Yeah.
Like Clinton was that, but for women. Anyway, then there was George W. Bush.
That's when the comedy really
Right
started.
now, he wasn't a serious person.
Not at all.
Okay, he was like a fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Barack Obama, who in his first term, we were all like, wow, okay, this guy has serious potential. And second term, it's all like, nah, it's not working. And then you had Trump. Trump won. Then we had Biden. And now Trump too. I mean, Ronald Reagan was the guy.
Mm.
You know, he truly, he got it. He knew that, and he was an actor, but he knew what a president should have been looking like, saying, doing.
Maybe because he was an actor.
Maybe that's, I always criticize politicians when they're performative. But I think the difference was that when he was acting, he knew he wasn't actually doing anything. When he was president, he made sure that the actions followed the pretending. I mean, he was very good at like getting the Russians to the table and being hard-assed with them. I mean, he didn't just let them get away with anything. And essentially, he won the Cold War. Anyway, very good. So Dennis Quaid, good job there. And then I watched Master and Commander. Remember the old Russell Crowe movie?
I don't.
Oh, man. Do you guys remember it? It's like he's in the British Navy and he is the commander of a ship in, I think they're sailing in the South Atlantic and rounding Cape Horn, and they're chasing a French vessel. And Russell Crowe is the captain. So good. Master and Commander. That's the one. Such a good movie. Yeah.
Have you? Because it really is quite viral at the moment.
What, do I need a mask?
We spoke.
Oh, there's a nice cough.
Told you.
Oh.
No, we spoke about it last week, and you were not impressed by the series Adolescence. Were you seeing it pop up on your?
No.
Okay, maybe it's.
No, we'll see.
Maybe it's just my algorithm. But I wondered if you changed your mind. But we'll wait.
Well, I just think that there are so many good movies that I missed over the years because I never really was a movie guy. So now I'm rediscovering all of these, and I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty good. Anyway, I think the Reagan one was released last year, so that's not so old. But there are a bunch of old ones. So here's some interesting comments. Gareth, you're going to be part of the Truth. Are you going to be part of the Truth Podcast initiative Rob Hersov is launching soon? Apparently, a few high-profile podcasters are going to be doing this together. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get involved as the Real Network because when it comes to making studios available and all the rest of it, we're happy to help out there, and I think it's a good initiative. So Rob Hersov and a bunch of other people have got together, and they want to create an alternative network that can provide you with data and relevant information and a point of view that you aren't getting from the mainstream media. And I think it's a very good idea. The more the merrier. And wherever we can help, we'll help. Rebellious Ruth says, with the amount of terrible movies out there, we watch an oldie now and again. We watched Interstate 60. Good cast, dated but entertaining. I can't say I know what Interstate 60 is, but okay. Dirk says, it's easy to portray strength of the world's largest army and economy behind you. My biggest wish is to just have a competent and pragmatic president. Oh, why? Where's the G20? Oh, it's here in Santon. I didn't know. Oh, I think I need to pee. Oh, there's a toilet. What a surprise. This guy, it's just unbelievable. Been binge watching Catch Me a Killer on Showmax. It's about Mickey Pistorius's career and the cases she was involved in. Remember, we've interviewed her a couple of times. If you loved Mindhunters, you'll love this. And then Adolescence is brilliant, says Karen. Outstanding acting and an eye-opening story. Adolescence was disturbing, upsetting, and brilliant. Shocking if that's how kids actually speak to teachers. I wouldn't want to be a teacher. Hey?
No, geez.
Yes, that's a cuck job. I mean, it would have been fun. Like when I was at school, I used to think, "Ooh, this could be a fun thing to do."
Yeah,
you're teaching kids. You're presenting information to them for the first time on really amazing subjects, biology and history and all that kind of thing. But then I thought, nah, these horrible other people's children. I don't want to know.
I was on that route. I mean,
Were you?
Yes, I was in matric when the TED approached me to get a bursary from them and to study teaching
What would you have taught?
English.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. I had a bursary. I started studying English at the Rand Afrikaanse Universiteit. Great place to learn English.
Great place to do English. Hello, I are your English teacher.
And I messed around in the first year, although it was quite difficult because I was learning. I had English. I was learning Northern Sotho in Afrikaans, Zulu in Afrikaans, and French in Afrikaans.
Yo,
So it was quite
Jesus, taxing
challenging.
on the
And then
brain.
linguistics and
That's very taxing.
psychology and
Sure.
stats and all of that. And then realized that I would have to become a teacher. And, that's how you pay back a bursary.
Mm. And you were
and
like,
just
no,
the schools had changed at that point, and I just thought, yeah, not for me.
not happening.
Yeah, it was close.
Well, I'm pleased that what teaching's loss was our gain. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, Flex is especially for you. I found an embarrassing white lady who sings in a forest.
Oh boy!
These self-appointed people. Again, these are the people that really, I don't know why, but they drive me crazy. The ones who appoint themselves as the representative for all the other downtrodden people, or people who they regard as, underprivileged.
But they're told all their lives that you can make a difference in the world.
No, well, I think this woman's just a typical lefty. She's been raised on this nonsense, probably had hippie parents or whatever. And they said to her, your job on earth is to always care about the less fortunate than you. And you only know you're a good person if you're helping someone who's less fortunate than you. And she's the kind of person who probably did become a teacher. I don't know what this person does or who they are, but this came up on my feed and I was like, oh, Flex is going to love this for starters. And second of all, she's standing in a forest, all right? It's outside in winter in Canada or in one of those northwestern states in America. I'm like, no one on earth asked for you. No one on earth wants your help. No one wants this terrible song, by the way, that she sings. It's the worst song you could possibly imagine. I know kids who have brain damage who could come up with a better song than this at age 3. Okay.
Okay.
So take a look. I don't know who this is. I wish I could apologize on behalf of her family, whoever made her. Someone's got to take responsibility. But nonetheless, let's start our morning with this chick. There we go.
Black and indigenous people of color. Black and indigenous people of color. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, and queer. Asian American Pacific Islander. Asian American Pacific Islander. Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole. Latino, Hispanic, Romani, and Creole. We all have a place in this world. We all have a place in this world.
Now, first of all, whenever you hear any of these lefties singing, they always have to repeat the line twice because it's like
Does she realize that
it's a call
the
and
song would have
respond.
worked if she didn't have to repeat each line?
Well,
I'm highly annoyed.
but do you know why? Because people on the left are stupid. They've got like low intelligence. So you have to sing it, and then they must sing it back to you. That's why I say she's probably a teacher because this is how. And good morning, everybody. Good morning, ma'am. That kind of thing. It's like first of all, there's no black, Hispanic, people of color, bi, lesbian, gay, Pacific Islander who's sitting
Creole.
there who's going, thank you so much. I really needed you to stand up for me, Deirdre, or whatever your name is, right? It's Deirdre. It's probably something like that. Fuck. And then she looks so proud of herself at the end of it. She's like
she's made a huge difference.
Everyone's going to see this, and it's very important.
She should go back into her little hut and carry on doing what she was doing before she made that song.
She wasn't doing anything. That's the problem. She's not
That's
busy
fine.
enough.
Let her just do nothing rather.
Yeah. What a cuck song.
Don't let her do
So
something.
Flex, is that your new favorite?
Do you feel more
Yeah.
accepted as a black man
Yeah.
because of this woman's song?
As a black man, are you feeling like you're included more by her terrible song? Like you were feeling left out. Now you feel better. Huh? Yeah. Well, I don't even know her and I'm embarrassed. There's also this woman who, I don't know why these things are coming up on my feed, but
Because you're talking about them.
no.
You've said women in forest, and now you're going to be fed women in forests.
No, but watch. So this is an old lady called Dr. Sue, and she's got a little puppet called Tedley. This is a grown woman, all right?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who just have these are like for Dr. Hanan, this is ripe pickings. These are people who are desperate to be important. They really want, and they love to sing, and they're going to foist their singing on you no matter what you do. They foisters.
Yeah.
They foist on you. You're sitting minding your own business, and they must foist their songs on you.
It's like when people drive with the windows down and their music on, that they foist on you.
It drives me up the wall. So this is, I don't know. First of all, she's Dr. Sue, but I can guarantee you she's not a medical doctor. And you know I have
She's
a
like
problem
the
with
Dr. Seuss of Dr.
That's
Seuss.
it. But she's oh God. Like obviously there's a stage at which they just mentally stop advancing. they get stuck in sort of early teens where that kind of stuff would embarrass most of us, but for them it's something that got them attention. Like someone said, "Oh, you know, Sue, you can really sing beautifully."
Yeah.
And then she
You
went,
should ask Sue. She can really sing beautifully.
"Yeah, Sue, why don't you?" Or her parents were those parents who were like, "Our daughter Sue is the best singer, and she's going to sing for us at lunch today." And then everyone else at the table's like,
Mm.
"Oh fuck!" But no one said anything, right? Because people lie.
Yeah.
So anyway, here she is, and she does this thing called New Word,
Okay.
right? Where she brings you a new word, but she always starts it off with a song because she can show off her voice. You know, because she needs people to know that that's her special talent. This old bag. All right, so take a look.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sue, and this is New Word. New Word only takes a moment. New Word is an open door. New Word, when you keep on learning, soon you'll learn so much more. New Word. And this is my little pal, Tedley. Hello. Hello, Tedley. Our new word is crocus. Crocus is a flower that appears in the early spring. It's often purple. That's why I'm wearing a purple scarf. A crocus is a perennial. That means it comes back every year. I love spring and perennials and crocuses and the thaw. That's the season between winter and spring. So I wrote a little song about it. It goes like this. Spring comes in on little purple feet. Winter sighs and thaws a soft retreat. New word.
I don't know why someone doesn't just see her do it, because she's doing this in public. Just see her doing it next to the lake or the river or whatever she's in, and just push her in. Just push her in with Ted Lee and let them both just fucking sink to the bottom. Tie a rock to her and push her and Ted Lee in. And the fact that she has this puppet, who's she doing this for? I don't want her new word.
Well,
do you?
If she did, somebody send it to you, or did you?
No,
see
someone
it?
sent it to me.
Okay, I'm just a little concerned about what's in your on your format.
You can have my.
Page.
I can give you access to my phone. You can find all the things on my feed. That should not be coming up on my feed.
It should.
I hate it.
Probably.
Are you listening?
Oh dear, shame.
Okay, so she's a really annoying old bag. That feminist in the forest is also annoying. Have you had enough of those sorts of people?
Yes, I have.
Have you guys
I've
had enough?
My full.
Is that enough for one day? Or do you want more? Oh, yeah, but okay, so here's the difference, is these guys are not foisting. These guys just look like they're just having a lekker time, right? It's a bunch of dads. Well, I mean, some of them are slightly older even than, some of them are grandpas. But look at them just having a time. They're not trying to teach you a word. They're not trying to nag and harass and harangue and hector you over your inability to sympathize with BIPOC people of color, you know?
Mm.
So this is what you should do. And again, I'm sorry that the gender difference here is so absolutely striking. But like, these fucking bags must just stop telling everyone what to do and do what the guys do. Just like, have a nice song. So here we go.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between your brothers and your sisters, all over this land. If I had a prayer, I'd bring it in the morning, I'd bring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd bring out danger, I'd bring out warning, I'd bring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening.
All right, that's enough. That's enough. I think that's quite enough happiness for one morning. Did you not enjoy that, Leigh-Ann?
No.
Leigh-Ann didn't enjoy it at all.
I think I might have preferred the teacher. She had more purpose. Those guys didn't have any purpose.
They were having a fun time singing a song.
So was she.
No. They were doing a group activity, and they weren't
Oh, come
foisting.
on.
There was no foisting with them.
They were on an actual stage performing.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's a problem. The one chick's in the forest, disturbing
No,
the animals.
Look, I
The other
just think
chick's
they're
next
equally
to the
as
river,
bad.
and I think it's weird. No, you think they're the same? No.
Mm.
All right. Well, here's a feminist author who says she's discovered how to stop online dating, and she's found something else to busy herself with. And she's also in a forest. So again, really, like white ladies letting themselves down. Why I stopped online dating and started fingering my own ass.
No, that cannot be real.
Yes, it is. And that's an editor of a... Yes, it is. Look at her. You can tell by the face. You know that she means it.
Oh, that's gross. Oh, no.
So yeah, that's great, huh? Don't you love it?
I don't know if it's real. I don't know if I believe it.
All right, so let's rescue the reputation of white women here quickly. And let's show the fat asses of a bunch of black women who really have let themselves down. Because unfortunately, these girls, as you'll see in the video, can't even fit through a door because of their big booties. So take a look at this, because I don't know who, they're probably guys who are into this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But you should be ashamed of yourself. Because also, if you're a woman and you let yourself, there's just no way you could be comfortable in a car. How do you sit? How do you sit? You're going to see what I mean. These asses are enormous. Okay, these women are not shapely or slightly overweight or curvaceous.
So it's not a genetic thing.
Hell, these, I don't think it's possible.
Do you think it's an eating thing?
I think it's got to be that combined with very bad genes, because this is not good for your back. This is not good for your front.
It's not good
This
for
is
your
not
sides.
good for your sides. Just have a look. I mean, you tell me. And these women are all over the internet. Clearly, there are a bunch of guys who, almost like those fat people who have feeders. You know, they're guys who are turned on
enablers.
by, they're enablers. So you should be ashamed of yourself, guys, if you're into this, because it's not on. Okay?
Good. So let's...
Yes, she has to pull that Skapezan right down. Huh?
What do they say? Bulldogs
she's
fighting under
constantly
a
pulling.
sheet.
Yeah, she's constantly pulling it down because it goes, I'm going up. I don't care what you want. I'm taking this upstairs.
No, you
Anyway.
can see that that's a lot of overeating as well.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
And we should not glamorize this sort of thing. It's very, very bad.
Oh, but it is glamorized. That's what you get on. If you are on South African TikTok, that's what you will find.
How embarrassing. I thought we'd been embarrassed enough in the news lately. So South Africa's suddenly on the global media radar, according to Leigh-Ann.
Yeah.
Even our tiny little research base in Antarctica is making the news. What happened here?
James has to bring me my phone so that I have all the proper information.
Yes.
But it was a very
That's what we keep him for, though.
it was a very
Thanks, James.
small story that the Sunday Times reported on, not this Sunday, I think the Sunday before, yes. About our base where they send, I think it's up to 9 people at a time.
Okay.
And they have to live there for the entire 9-month period or whatever it is. So, and it's weird as well that BBC picked up on it because apparently one of the people at the bases contacted the BBC for some reason.
Did you see that they sent a bunch of flat earthers to Antarctica?
No.
So they sent a group of flat earthers to Antarctica, these people who think that the earth is flat. There's a whole society of them online. Again, the internet has made it possible for very, very embarrassing and shitty things to happen. And for people to feel, because other people are partaking in these crazy and embarrassing things, that it's acceptable. We've got to, as Ben and Simpiwe and I have said on a Friday many times, we've got to bring back shame. Got to make it shameful.
Yeah.
Anyway, these flat earthers, I think there were 4 of them that went on an expedition, especially to see that the sun doesn't set in the middle of the southern hemisphere's summer, sorry. So that they could see that the sun was always in the sky.
Yes.
Which would prove to them that the earth was round, because if the earth was flat, that wouldn't be possible.
Okay.
So these people went. I think 3 of the 4 decided, no, it's definitely true that the earth is round, and had to recant and are no longer members of the Flat Earth Society. And these were like flat earth influencers, okay? Like those big booty women we saw just now, they're like big booty influencers. So these are big booty people who, well, not big booty people, but big flat earther people.
Yes. Who go around.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that they've designated themselves to do this.
And now they've had to recant. Apparently, the other flat earthers are very, very upset with them. It's kind of, they don't have friends anymore. All their friends were in the Flat Earth Society. And in order to get this done, they had to go to Antarctica. I wonder if they stayed at our base.
Oh, perhaps.
Maybe.
So apparently it started with assault claims, like sexual harassment claims.
Oh, well, it's a long winter. It's a cold, dark place.
The thing is, they are so isolated that they have to undergo major psychological tests before they go.
Wow, that's our base?
Yeah.
Looks horrible.
Yeah.
It's like a villain's lair in Bond movie.
And apparently within the first 3 months, psychologists have said in the first 3 months, there's some phenomenon that happens where people realize they really are going to be alone and with these people for a full year.
Oh, I'd go mad. So that's our base. Is it on stilts?
Yes.
Oh.
And apparently one of them's gone a bit crazy and has started threatening women within the group.
It's a guy.
Yeah. But apparently...
Well, you can shoot him in Antarctica. No one will know.
I don't even know if they have
he just won't come back.
Weapons
You'll say,
of that sort.
He fell in a crevice.
But they've actually called for an evacuation, like an emergency evacuation.
Of him?
Of the whole team.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the problem is the weather. The reason why they're there for the amount of time that they are, I think it's 9 months, is because there's only 3 months within which you can collect them or drop them off because of the weather.
Can you imagine how frightening it is to be stuck in a place like that where you can't get in or out? Other people can't come in and you can't get out, right? And one of them just goes a little cuckoo.
Bit of a loose cannon, yeah.
Yeah, and now you have to sleep with one eye open. think it's frightening.
It's
it's
hugely
the makings of a
frightening.
great
It's the
horror movie,
makings
right?
of a movie.
Yeah.
And apparently, you start becoming so overly concerned and obsessed when you realize how alone you are over things like food rations.
Mhm.
Fights break out really easily. Things annoy you to the power of 40. So the noise that a person makes when they sip their coffee.
Oh,
Can you imagine? And everything around you is so quiet
like,
and eerie as it
like those
is.
people being in the International Space Station, that Elon just rescued. I had this big argument with someone on Friday. Yeah, I went to lunch on Friday. This one guy's like, "Oh, come on, Elon didn't rescue anyone." Like, I don't even know how to have a conversation with someone who's, that's like saying, no, the sky is definitely bright orange because you saw a sunset once, but the rest of the day it's also orange. Like, you please don't. Anyway, he rescued those people from the International Space Station.
Mm.
And I was thinking, imagine being trapped, because those are technically the loneliest people.
Mm.
If you're on a spacewalk outside the ISS, you're not. It's not even a question. You are like the loneliest. If something happens to you and you float off into space, you become more and more lonely as you get further and further away from every
Scary,
other human
yeah.
being. But if you're trapped in this, and it's tight, right? There's not a lot of room.
Mm.
Like if you had a space as big as this, and we've got a studio here, it's, I don't know, 40, 50 square meters. But can you imagine how cabin fever is what they
Yeah,
call it?
yeah.
Imagine being caught in the International Space Station and everything's floating around all the time, and your muscles atrophy because you don't have any reason to. There's no resistance,
Mm.
so you can't actually build muscle. So they basically waste away, and you're trapped up there while they try to organize a rescue here on Earth. I mean, it must be horrific. People put themselves through unbelievable hell because of, in the case of our base in Antarctica and in the ISS, science.
Mm.
And you think about, again, this movie I watched, this Master and Commander, these guys would get onto these ships and you might be gone for 2 years before you see home again. And you're on a wooden prison, because that's what it must feel like. The highlight of your day is when you get your grog, which is like watered down rum, because you can't drink the water, because it won't be fresh for long.
Mm.
And you can gather rainwater if you're lucky, but if it doesn't rain, you're in big trouble. There aren't flushing toilets, so you can imagine the smell.
Mm-mm.
There aren't showers because this is 1800.
Yeah.
I mean, it's set in the time of the Napoleonic Wars. And you have mutinies, and you have... The weirdest thing is, it reminded me, because in the movie, they're very, very good about historical accuracy. And what's so amazing about that movie is that they show you how old the kids are that are deck officers and that kind of thing. So these kids are probably, I don't know, 10 years old.
What?
Yeah. And these kids would have been the children of, they would have been like the second or third sons of aristocrats or landed gentry or whatever, and they'd be sent to the Navy to go and explore the world. If they had a curious mind, they might become a naturalist or a botanist or something. And this was your way to explore the world. And you think, Jesus, at 10 years old, these little kids
Sure.
are losing their arms because
What?
cannons blow them off or whatever. And they grow up really fast.
Mm.
It's just such a great movie to remind yourself of how we've got it so good right now. And even if you're stuck in Antarctica or on the International Space Station, we've got it so good right now. My goodness.
Sure.
So anyway, all of that's going on. This guy put together a little video of why it's good not to be fat. And you don't have to tell me, but maybe we should tell those women in the corridor that we showed you on the video just before. This guy he explains why, if you're fat, you're also stupid.
Oh.
Have a look at this.
Up your alley.
Very important. No, I'm not saying it. I believe it, but I'm not saying it. Take a look.
your weight goes up. The size and function of the brain goes down. Somebody's got to say the truth. And then people go, oh, but you're fat shaming. And it's like, no, I published a study on 33,000 people. It lowers blood flow to your brain. It prematurely ages your brain. It increases inflammation. It changes your genetics. Fat stores toxins. You're more likely to be depressed. It damages your immunity, takes healthy testosterone, turns it into unhealthy cancer-promoting forms of estrogen, and impairs your sleep. The truth is, being at an unhealthy weight is unhealthy for your brain and body.
Okay,
Sure.
so another reason not to be morbidly obese. Okay, it actually
It's-
affects
what
your
he
brain.
says, I mean, it makes absolute sense.
Totally.
It's not something groundbreaking, but when you put it together and you aim it specifically at one causation,
Yeah.
i.e., fat stored in your body, then it's quite striking.
Well, I mean, let's say 5 years ago, we wouldn't have publicly wanted to encourage any conversation like this because it would have been fat shaming.
Mm,
I think that's how much we've changed. We're back to, no, this is bad and people need to be told the truth. It's not about how you feel. It's about what's true. And I think we're getting back there now.
mm,
You can bullshit yourself all you like, but it's not going to make you feel any better. Actually, in the long term, you're going to feel a whole lot worse because now people are lying to you, as well as all the health problems he's already indicated for people who are morbidly obese or overweight. You've got to know these things. You've got to be aware of these things. There's no point in someone telling you what you want to hear instead of telling you what you need to hear. And I think that era is now over. I think it's a good thing it's over. I'm not a fan of us pretending and lying to each other.
mm.
Anyway, let's see what happens. Speaking of big fat people, the blobfish. So the blobfish is the world's ugliest animal. It's been named the fish of the year in which country? Look at it.
Oh,
So fucking ugly. It's been named fish of the year in New Zealand.
oh my gosh.
Yes, it's called the world's ugliest animal. It's been voted
Well-
New Zealand's fish of the year. Fish of the year.
They're normally named fish of the year, or I don't know, whatever animal it is of the year. Bird. There was a bird thing.
Yeah.
If there is a cause behind it. So let's say it's because it's becoming extinct or it's overfished.
Well,
or-
this competition has aimed to raise awareness of deep sea conservation.
oh, there you go.
Supporters celebrating the blobfish moment in the sun. Then it's native to the deep waters near Australia and New Zealand. It appears normal at depth, but it turns mushy when it's brought to the surface.
Oh, ew.
It's gross, right?
Mm.
A late surge in votes helped by radio hosts. Oh, hi, everybody. We're on the radio. We're encouraging you. Sorry, with a New Zealand accent. We really need you to vote for this fish. This fish needs your vote. Here it is. We're going to show you a picture of this fish. And we'd really like you to vote for it. Here it is, the blobfish. Isn't
Yo.
it beautiful?
So in other words, it looks better underwater.
It's, yeah, I mean,
Could it?
that is an ugly ass thing.
Yeah.
Although-
Imagine eating that. Imagine that someone brought that
I
out
don't-
on a
I
plate.
don't think you want to eat that. And it's always got like this little flap over here, which
You know,
looks
it's
like
got a bit of
like a nose.
a penis on its forehead.
Well, I don't know if you'd call it a penis, but it's like a nose.
An elongation thing.
It's
A
revolting.
trunk.
Hey, have we got Dr. Hanan on? All right, well, how are you going to... Why didn't you tell me? We keep the man waiting. We're talking about stupid fucking fish. You don't think this guy has things to do? He's got a whole bunch of mental patients to talk to today, and we're wasting his time talking about a blobfish. Oh,
Kilometers and kilometers of patience.
it's just unbelievable. You've got them lined up. They lined up 10 deep outside his office, and James and Flex are like, no, just carry on talking about the stupid fish. We can do that anytime.
Penises on foreheads of fish.
Yeah, I mean, really. Listen, do people who think they see a penis on the forehead of a fish have severe problems? Because Leigh-Ann is sitting here right now. She's totally confused. Is she deprived?
Yeah.
Is she deprived? That's
Are
the
you
question.
deprived, Leigh-Ann?
That's the question. All right, so Dr. Hanan, there are a couple of things that have come up in the last while. I always prefer to, hit the Monday with no real agenda, but there's stuff we can deal with today. And I love the idea that people, it even came up in the movie that I was watching. There's a lot of thematic stuff that seems to be rearing its ugly head. People are not all good at making decisions, right? They defer. Right. They want someone else to make the decision for them, so they outsource the decision-making power. They're terrified if they get it wrong, the consequences will be worse than them not making a decision at all. So they just sit on their hands and they don't make a decision. I think that is probably a sure sign that those people are not, they're not in charge of their own life. They're probably not the kind of people you'd want in charge of anything, because making decisions, even the wrong ones, better than not making a decision, in my opinion. Things will go much more badly if you just let the universe take its decisions for you. You let time determine a winner or a loser or a direction or anything else. There are a lot of people in this world who cannot make decisions. How do we make better decisions?
Right. So you're quite right. The common denominator of success for people actually versus unsuccessful people is the ability to make decisions. Unsuccessful people just sit on the fence and wait for the universe to decide for them. And how many times do I have to say on the show, if you're not the chess player of your life, you're a pawn in someone else's.
Yes.
If you don't have a strategy and don't make decisions, then the universe will just make one for you. And the reason why people don't want to make decisions is because, one, they don't want to fail. They don't want to make the wrong decision. And two, the reason why people don't want to make decisions is because making decisions requires you to sacrifice. Because there's no possibility of committing to a position without letting go of something else. So if I make a decision to lose weight, I have to sacrifice a chocolate cake. If I make a decision to be married, I have to sacrifice all the possibilities that I could have as a singleton. If I want to be single, then I have to sacrifice all the wonderful things that I can have in a companionship.
Right.
So making decisions actually is quite challenging because people don't want to sacrifice. And that's the difference between successful and unsuccessful, mature and immature. Immature people want to make decisions and still keep the alternative. They want to be married and act single. They want to lose weight and have the chocolate cake. Well, the universe doesn't offer you that. Mature people, successful people are able to make decisions, understanding that there's a cost, there's an alternative that you have to let go of. But the ability to make a decision, and your question was, how do we do it? Well, you have to understand that you can't see life as a short stints of wins and losses, because then you are going to be a slave to, well, feeling good when you win and feeling bad when you lose. Life is a long journey. Just see these decision-making as an ability to gain information and make your next move better. So it's not about what you're gaining out of it right here, right now, but rather getting feedback to make your next move more efficient, more productive, more of a winning position or a winning decision. And one thing that never happens on the fence is you don't get data. You don't get information that makes your next move better. So sitting on the fence is never an option. It's never a good option. I always tell people, rather make the wrong decision than make no decision. And I call it the wrong decision only because it's just data. And you use that data to make yourself better. Now, one thing that I just want to mention that you said is people are really bad at making decisions because, one, they don't want to fail. And two, they base their decision-making on feelings. And how many times, Gareth, do we say on the show, feelings are pathological liars? If you base your decisions on how you feel, well, then you are just gambling with the decision, because how you feel is dependent on the cup of coffee that you drank this morning and how well you slept last night, and the phone call that you had, and the date that you went on, and a million other things. So don't make decision based on feelings, make decision based on data.
Yeah, it seems to me that fear of failure is such a striking delineation between people who are brave enough to risk things and fail fast, as we've been told, by the greats of Silicon Valley for the last 15 years, is that you'd rather You'd rather get it wrong and fail and then fix it quickly by making more decisions than sit there and
Yes, exactly.
hope that someone else will make the right decision for you and that you'll move in a direction, and without like volition, without the desire to be in charge of your own life, it's never going to get better. I see a lot of people that go, oh, woe is me, life is hard, everybody's against me, I didn't get this job that I really wanted, I didn't get the promotion I wanted, things are not going my way. And you're like, well, you don't seem to be in charge of your life.
Yeah. But the only way to take control is by making these decisions. But you're quite right. You got to make decision after decision after decision. So the reason why people don't want to make these decisions or pick a position is because they think if they get it wrong, it's really consequential. Well, I ask you and I ask the people that are listening, how many times throughout your life have you made a decision that was really a life and death? Out of all the decisions that you've had to make, how many of them were so consequential that it really changed the course of your life? Well, let me guess, not many, if any. The reality is that you're allowed to fail 1,000 times before life really punishes you. So you're allowed to make the wrong decision and then make another wrong decision and then make another wrong decision and multiply that by 100 and then get it right, and life will still reward you. What life will never reward is you sitting on the fence and not committing to a position, because then nothing happens. You don't get any feedback. So make a decision. You're allowed to fail. Don't think that your next move is the last move of your existence, but think about it as a learning curve or information or data that will just allow you to make the next move in a better way.
I suppose we all have settings too for how safe and secure we want our life to be, right? And the people who are very low risk are probably very high safety. And you can see that in society, there's this constant tension between the people who like a lot of safety, a lot of certainty, and then the people who are high risk, who want to take chances, and maybe they blow out and everything's a disaster, but maybe they also discover the cure for cancer or whatever else. And we need those things. We need both in almost equal parts, right? Because you can't raise families in totally high risk situations. You know, your kids are going to end up disastrous because there's no security at all. Are we going to be living here today? Are we going to be there tomorrow? Is mom going to, come at me with an axe? You need a lot of security, but you also need a lot of risk in society and civilization. So it's a very difficult and fraught tension that we have to keep on minding between these two camps.
Gareth, the most basic and the most foundational and the most accurate definition of a stressor is whenever the thing that I value is under threat. So whenever there's a threat on the thing that I value, that becomes stressful. So if my child is not feeling well, there's a threat on the thing that I value, that becomes a stressor to me. If I have a fight with my wife, the thing that I value is under threat, that becomes a stressor to me. So whenever the thing that you value is under threat, that becomes a stressor to you. And the common denominator amongst everybody is that nobody likes to risk the thing that they value. But here's the difference between people that are prepared to take risk and people that are not. The people that are prepared to take risk, they don't want to risk things that they value, but they don't see it as a great of a threat. The thing that they value is people that are not prepared to take on risk. So just understand that people that are prepared to take on risk, they actually don't see their next move as really threatening, which is very healthy. So I'm prepared to step out of my comfort zone. Whatever happens, I'll fix. And if I make the next move and it doesn't work out, I'll fix that too. And I'll fix that too. And I'll fix that too. While people that are not prepared to take on risk, they see the next move as a real consequential threat on what they value. So they think if I make the next move, the thing that I value is going to be lost. My relationship will be lost. My job will be lost. My reputation will be lost. My image will be lost. My money will be lost. And it's just not aligned with reality. It's not true. So yes, you should be risk averse in terms of things that you value, but mitigate that risk by actually understanding and aligning it with a real threat, as opposed to the threats that you're just creating in your head that are not real.
It all reminds me of that slightly hackneyed poem that we were taught to memorize at primary school, Rudyard Kipling's If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one game of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. That's the whole risk thing that I just thought of now. And I think for a lot of people, it's very, very hard. They're too scared of losing. And we know this, Doc. You've told us before. There is an inbuilt fear response to the idea that we will lose things, which is far, far more powerful for most of us than the prospect of winning. So, you will feel worse, measurably. You'll feel worse about losing 1,000 rand than you will about winning 100,000 rand. Feel good.
Definitely.
It's amazing.
Definitely. Even the thought of potentially losing, potential loss, feels much worse than an actual gain. For sure. But remember, put things in perspective. Is your next decision really consequential in terms of you losing it? And I would put it forward that it's not so consequential. You can make 100 wrong decisions and still get it right at the end.
Beautiful. That's a great thing to start the week with. Thank you, Doc, and it's good to have you on, and we will see you in a week's time. Thanks so much, Dr. Hanan Bushkin.
Bye, guys.
Very good. Huh?
Yeah, very good. Another reason why I think people are loath to make decisions is because they don't want to take the blame for if something happens.
That's it.
So much
Big
easier
thing.
to just blame it on someone else.
Right. Because blame would mean responsibility and accountability. Nobody wants that. A lot of people, let's not say people, but a lot of people are so terrified of being responsible for things. They want the power, they want the money, they want the success, but they don't want the accountability.
They want the risk to lie with someone else.
Yeah.
And we do it all the time. We do it by just voting, for instance.
Yeah. We pass on that accountability. No, you're right. Okay, well, we've got a lot to think about for this Monday morning. We'll be back in just a moment, taking a quick break, Leigh-Ann and I, and then we're going to be joined by Shandor Larenty, who's the Lion guy, and we're going to have James give us some sport, which I know you're excited about. It's everyone's highlight for a Monday, so we'll get to that just now. Don't go anywhere.
Like an old school Dr. Kumal on this. Youpie, youpie, yo!
Lerato Moloi made headlines when she addressed rape allegations against South African comedian and TV personality Mongezi Mashagu.
Never ever been on the tabloid. Mo cheating on his wife. I went delusional when Mom and I separated.
The tallest Mo has been acquitted.
Mo has taken the comedy industry by storm. Rest assured that his performance will leave you in stitches. Flip, 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 flip.
If I didn't stop, I'd be dead in 6 months. An alcoholic. I've been sober for 12 years. I drank from the age of 9 till I was 36. Because I believe genuinely that this life is a gift and that I'm here for a purpose.
All right, we are live Monday morning, and I thought about you this weekend because this video came up on my feed, and I thought, oh, that's Leigh-Ann and the Gen Zs in her office.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I can imagine you trying to, because you're pretty good at this, actually. Like, you're a sport, you'll take part in things if there's some office activity going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've got all these Gen Zs who are, talking about things that you might not understand the lingo of. You catch on pretty quickly, though. So you probably speak Gen
Yeah,
Z.
I do speak Gen Z. Yes.
But they sometimes make you do stuff in an office where, you have to partake. But in the beginning, you look like you look like an old person trying to be
Yes.
Gen Z. And then before you know it, you get into it. So this video made me think of you.
Is that Maud?
That's you. I think that's Maud. Yeah. Don't you think that's you with the Gen Zs?
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
I can see that.
So anyone else who's in an office with a bunch of people where there's a massive generation gap, now you know.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
how it looks.
And you don't realize how big the gap is until you count it out. 30 years is a big gap.
Hey, listen, you owe me an explanation for the Gene Hackman death. Remember how we couldn't figure out what the hell had happened there? So Gene Hackman, his wife, and the dog all fucking died at the same time, and nobody can figure it out.
Oh, well,
very bizarre.
The media were trying to. They've now taken a normal story and try to make it odd so that it catches your attention.
Well, this was odd.
They've said Gene Hackman body camera footage, so of the cops, reveals a gruesome request. The request was, quietly, Gene Hackman's daughter was standing with the cops and they were making arrangements with what to do with the bodies now that everybody had been found. And she politely said, could the dog that they found that was dead, could we cremate the dog and then the ashes could be buried with Gene Hackman's wife, her stepmom?
Right.
Obviously, they had a close relationship. So that was all that it was. But the media gruesome discovery. Blah, blah,
but this is clickbait, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
But anyway, to get to the story, we finally know what happened. So the wife, what was her name? No, that's his daughter, Elizabeth Hackman.
Titlohan. What's her name?
I can't. Oh, gosh.
I don't know what her name is. She's Gene Hackman's wife. I didn't even know what she looked like until
Arakawa. That was it.
That's right. Okay, yeah, I would have remembered that. Go on.
So she was apparently the first to go. Right.
Oh.
She had that weird rat disease that's very rare. She had a disease that was caused by rats.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Like the
autopsy
bubonic plague?
revealed that she died from hantavirus. Not hunter, but HANTA. A rare but fatal disease spread by rodents.
Huh.
So she was the first to go. She was the one that was found with all these pills. And a fan had fallen near her. Not a movie fan, but just a fan that blows air.
A pedestal fan. Okay,
She
yeah.
obviously tried to grab onto that and she'd fallen and died. Gene Hackman, who at the age of 92, I think, is now severely battling with severe Alzheimer's.
So he didn't know whether he was a teapot or a hockey stick.
He didn't know.
And then Arakara, whatever her name is, has fallen down. And he goes, oh.
And they had just come back from the vet with the dog. And that's why the dog was in a crate.
Oh, my God. And it starved.
It's actually died of dehydration.
Oh, my God. What a sad, horrible story.
And Gene Hackman had died of a combination of Alzheimer's and heart.
Well,
because now he wasn't having his medication.
Anyone who thought it was romantic that they all went together, that doesn't sound very romantic.
No, it sounds
to me.
awful.
Sounds horrific.
So experts say that he may not even have realized that his wife was dead.
No, he didn't know what was going on.
To his own death.
He said, "Hey, why are you so quiet?"
Oh gosh.
He's like, "What's wrong with you?"
It's not ideal, you know.
Huh. Why are you?
But,
why are you and the dog so quiet?
Stop being so lazy. Get up and do your work.
Oh man.
But the good news is there were 2 other dogs who endured terrible times in this house, but they at least have made it and they've gone to good homes.
And they've got PTSD from being in the Hackman home.
Yeah, from being in this hell of a house of death.
Okay, well, I suppose that's an explanation. I've got much happier things to show you.
Good.
This is very cute. So someone I know was on a golf course somewhere. I don't know where. I just love this. There's a little springbok. And this thing is so cute and so tame. And I love the way they do their little, their little jumps that gave them the name Springbok.
Oh, yes.
So take a look here.
Hey.
Watch.
Look at that.
Dances. Isn't that cute? That's so sweet, man. Yeah. So sweet.
So cute.
Damn, that's cool. I just think it's the cutest thing ever.
The big rage at the moment is baby goats.
Oh, yeah?
And they do the same thing. They do this little jumpy thing. They're completely not in control of their bodies. And they get the zoomies. Want to be up high on everything, falling off.
Yeah.
Oh, I think a lot of people it's that people are going to want to buy baby goats. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I won't. I've never liked a goat. But okay, we're not going to go down that path. I'm optimistic and full of the joys of autumn this morning. So here, just to make you feel even more sweet, there is a video that I found, someone sent me, of like two birds taking shelter inside a rose, two little birds.
Oh.
I mean, this is, again, just very happy and sweet and lovely. So if you were looking for optimism and positivity this morning, you come to the right place. Here we go. Isn't that cool?
So cute.
Yeah, I thought so. So here's something not cool at all. Someone's invented a couple's toilet.
Oh, no.
Yes,
come on.
believe it or not. So you can take a shit with each
Oh,
other.
come on.
Yes, come on, Leigh-Ann. This is like
Oh,
when...
my gosh.
Yeah, there we go. This is like those people who have a joint Facebook account, you know? Neil and Desiree, whatever, Pochenpoel. This is our joint. This is Instagram account where we post everything as husband and wife. Look at that toilet. How does that work? So you're facing the one way, she's facing the other way. Is that the flushing mechanism in the middle? So
this is going to give me nightmares because I already have nightmares about toilet issues. Obviously, in my dream, I'm needing to go to the loo, right? But I'm just not waking up.
Yeah.
And I'm walking into, whether it's in a shopping center, a school, someone's house, and there are these vast rooms of toilets like that with no doors. And everyone's just walking around, and every bog is dirty. And the floors are dirty, and I'm barefoot.
These are your nightmares. These are the terrible dreams you have when you're on your own.
Feeling you can't get away and hide. Or it's got a door,
By the way,
but it's
gotta
glass.
tell you, your aunt's asshole stretching story from last week. Everybody has just loved it.
Oh, that's good.
It
I'll tell her.
It went viral. Yeah, she'll be thrilled. She's very famous. People just loved that story.
She would be highly offended if she found out that I'd said something. I mean, I didn't mention her name. No one's going to know.
Well, it's the first time I've ever heard of an asshole stretching. But, there we go.
Does a world of good.
Would you recommend it for all of us?
Well, if you have persistent bladder issues, apparently it works. And you'd think you'd need something else stretched if you had bladder issues.
Man.
But no, the asshole helps.
All right. While we're looking at ridiculous things that have been going on the internet, besides Leigh-Ann's aunt's stretched asshole, I don't know what this is. It's like some kind of repo show or whatever.
Yeah.
You get these shows where like the guy who does the repo is paid to go and intervene and get someone's furniture back or whatever. This guy's shouting at this woman, then the guy comes out, and I don't know what's happening here, but it seems like there's a lot of anger and potentially also mental illness. Have you got that clip? Okay, just show Leigh-Ann what I mean.
I met you. You've got 4 fucked up sofas, man. Only the furniture here was my furniture.
Clown. He's nothing but a clown. That's all he is. He's a clown.
This clown just wants his own things.
Sal jou vra. Jy sal my fokol vra. Ek sal jou vra wat ek wil hoor. Hoekom het jy my Prado gesteel? I haven't stolen it. Al wat ek gehad het. Betaal my uit vir wat my opgeneem het. Ek wil jou gehelp.
I don't know what that show is, but I want to see more.
Wow. Is that guy in an EFF outfit?
I don't know. He's the repo guy, I think. Okay. He's the one who's coming to repossess the stuff that belongs to the guy who's like,
oh my God.
So it's hard to work out what's actually going on there. But I mean, that there are people like this in the world. It's phenomenal, huh? Speaking of people like that, James, do you want to come and give us some sport? Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. Yeah, don't ask me to. That guy goes, "You've got the fur fucked up sofas." Then the other guy goes, like, "No, you stole my Prado," and he's like, "I did not steal your Prado." I just want to know, like,
what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I just want to know how it happens that these people are in each other's world, and he's got like 4 sofas that the other oak is meant to have, or it's very complicated. We need clarity. Just like on the
it's a good trailer then.
Just like on the Gene Hackman death, we need Leigh-Ann to investigate. We need you to come back with answers. I'm deeply dissatisfied after watching that clip.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was a weekend, and therefore there was some sport. Ben went to the rugby in Pretoria because I saw him. And the Bulls won. That's all I know.
They did. 21-20.
Okay, very good. 21-20, very by a ball hair. Hey?
Very, very close. Oh. The Sharks did the same thing, 35-34 to Zebra. I'm gonna double down with the way I said that.
No.
Doubling down. The Stormers, they played the Scarlets. They won 29-17. And Cardiff played the Lions, 20-17 to Cardiff in that game. There was boring football this weekend.
I'm already yawning.
International football.
I'm already yawning, and we're only 5 seconds into your sports report, James.
I know. But there is good news, guys, because Bafana played some World Cup qualifiers this weekend.
For God's sake. We're talking about Bafana.
It's getting so much better for us, guys. 2-0 against Lesotho. We got to play Benin on
Tuesday. Against Lesotho? They only have 10 people in the whole country who can play soccer. There is no level place in Lesotho for you to play soccer. It's all uphill or downhill. How do we not win against Lesotho?
Gareth.
That's like saying, come on. This is like playing pin the tail on the donkey with actual blind people. Lesotho. Gareth, you think that's a win?
No, well, I don't. But you got to find the silver linings here.
So I'm sorry. I'm not going to pretend to be optimistic about this. This is an embarrassment.
2-0.
Lesotho. They wear blankets all the time because it's cold. They're the country that Trump said, wherever the hell that is, during his State of the Nation address. Remember? He's like, Lesotho, the people, we said a whole lot of money to the people of Lesotho. He goes, wherever the hell that is. Nobody knows where that is. That's what he said. Everything's like this. Up the mountain or down the mountain. Where do you play soccer? You keep losing the ball. Guy kicks it up and goes all the way down to the bottom of the mountain, and everyone's like, we're not going to go and fetch that. Just let's stop.
What if I told you that it could mean we go to the World Cup next year?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, there you go.
But then we'll fuck up at the World Cup because we played Lesotho to get there.
We have a bigger game on Tuesday night against Benin. I'm not sure where that is.
It is. I don't know. Nobody knows where that is. Okay, so Benin is on the west coast of Africa.
Oh, so that side. Okay.
You just do never eat silkworms.
I did actually. Yeah, I had to do the little circle thing. Okay, the West Coast. We play them tomorrow night. In our last World Cup.
Are we playing there, or are they coming here?
I think they're coming here.
Because we've just come down from the mountains of Lesotho, haven't we?
We're 16 games unbeaten, though. So there's that. These are the
but we've been playing countries like Lesotho. Come on. By the way, if anyone's from Lesotho listening to us, I got the funniest message from a guy who lives in Lesotho.
Mm-hmm.
He's a proud Sotho guy. But he thought Trump was very, very funny when he said that. Because, a lot of people were very touchy about it.
Mm.
Oh, how could he say that? That's so mean. It's like when he called 3/4 of the world shithole countries in his first term. Everyone was super upset,
including ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like, who cares? Get on with it. Maybe you earned that reputation. Maybe you don't deserve being called anything better. But maybe if you're a Lesotho and you get called a place that nobody knows, or maybe you think I'm being insulting about Lesotho this morning, maybe you don't have to care. How about the responsibilities on you to decide whether you're going to be upset or not? And if you're going to be upset, you might be a moron.
You might be a moron.
Yeah. Okay. What else have you got for us, moron? Go on. Sorry, did I say that out loud? That was meant to be a quiet in my head voice. Sorry.
World of football. There was Nations League this weekend, which is also boring. It's boring football. It's international. The Premier League's on a break at the moment. Life's kind of boring.
This is like the buffet table after 3/4 of the people have been there.
Basically, watching teams that nobody really cares about, like Germany playing Italy for some reason, and Portugal playing Denmark. So that happened. Spain played Netherlands. That was a 3-3 draw. Boring vibes there. But we're on to the semi-finals of that competition. Germany, Portugal in the first semi-final on the 4th of June. Spain versus France in the second quarterfinal on the 5th of June for the Nations League. And then there was also a Formula One this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
So
what happened there?
The two orange cars, the McLarens, another week on top for them. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, first and second. George Russell third, Max Verstappen in fourth. Both Ferraris were disqualified after the race. So they said, the red cars, you guys had too much fun. You didn't finish this race. Let's try again next week. The reason being, Charles Leclerc's car was 1 kilogram under the 800 kilogram weight limit. And Lewis had a piece of plankware attached to the bottom of his car. That's what it says here, which is the same reason he came third in the 2023 US Grand Prix.
Plankware.
Yeah, I don't understand.
As in like a wooden plank.
Well, I thought they were using mostly carbon fiber for these cars, so I'm not sure why they would be.
Wow, and the other one was just a kilogram under.
1 kilogram.
So if they just
was that with the person in the car?
So they weigh them both. I'm not sure. So after the race, they do the final weighing of both them and the person in the car. But the driver loses fluids racing,
during the
sweating.
race,
yeah, I mean a kilometer and a kilogram is just hardly anything if you're in there.
But they've become really
fucking
strict with the rules this year because they're trying to really level out all the teams and all the cars, so it's more competitive. So that's why they have these 1 kilogram weight rules that you can't.
I mean, if you just take in a couple of fishing weights,
slip it into Lewis's pocket, he'll be
unbelievable
overweight every week.
And a plank.
Yeah,
they really are very, very nitpicky. I suppose you have to be, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's lots of money on the line here.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, James.
Thanks
that
for
was
having
lovely.
me, hey.
Fantastic for people who care about this stuff.
Fantastic-ish.
That's great. All right. While James is on his way back into the producer's booth, I thought that this would entertain you. Someone sent me a picture of something that they found at I think it's a butchery. And the combination of these two words and the fact that this exists as a product is just awful to me.
Right.
It's something called pork lard. Okay.
Yes.
Look at that, pork lard. Two things that should never go together in a sentence or in a word or in a tub. There's a tub. You could buy a tub of pork lard.
With it, right?
What do you do with it?
You cook
Tell
with
me.
it.
Enlighten me.
Haven't seen pork lard before, but I've seen, I think,
pork lard,
duck lard.
Yeah.
Is it duck lard? Do ducks have that much fat on them?
I don't know.
Maybe it is pork lard. But yeah, you cook with it. It's pure fat, animal fat.
It's dreadful. Look, I don't know.
It'll make a really crunchy Sunday roast.
Yeah, but I don't ever want to try pork lard. Okay?
You've probably eaten it millions of times. It's probably
I just don't. I'm very disturbed
your
by this.
potatoes, your roast potatoes have been cooked in it. Your
pork
turkeys,
lard.
Yeah.
Speaking of pork lard, there's a story about the 16-year-old kid who slept with a teacher.
Yeah.
And now the teacher's been arrested.
Yeah.
But this is so funny because there's the teacher. Jesus.
Ooh,
Right?
geez.
There's the teacher arrested, accused of a sexual relationship with 16-year-old student. Then someone comments underneath, arrest the 16-year-old too, because look at her. Right?
Sure.
That's
yeah.
quite something.
We're not supposed to glamorize these situations, but you do kind of tend to think of a young, pretty teacher, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Right.
Let's be honest.
That doesn't look like a hot young teacher.
No.
Show her again.
But I wonder.
Looks like a man.
I wonder if it might have been a female student.
Whoa.
Reason that pops into my head is because that happened at my school.
Really?
Mm.
What, like the sports teacher?
Yeah, she was
it's always like
PE
the
teacher.
PE teacher, right?
And yeah.
Come on, girls. Don't worry about changing in front of me.
Yeah,
that kind of thing, huh?
So who knows?
I've seen a lot of minge in my life. I'm not scared.
But I don't know if a 16-year-old boy would particularly find that woman attractive.
No, I don't know. I don't think anyone on earth would. Just show her again. Jesus, you're having a rough day today. Just think about how lucky you are, okay? If today's not going your way, if today's not going your way, just think about that. She looks like she was attacked by crows.
Oh my God, Gareth.
That's bad. Seriously.
Lordy.
I feel terrible for that 16-year-old. Whether it's a boy or a girl, I think it's a terrible, terrible thing. Oh
dear.
All right, and then one last thing I got to show you. one. This is I don't know. It's like a goblin dwarf. It's a singing thing. We've had a lot of singing this morning in the show. It's all part of my cheer us up on a Monday.
Yeah.
We have that feminist standing in the forest singing about the people of color. Yeah, whatever. The people of color, and then we've got that Dr. Sue with Ted Lee.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have a dwarf goblin. I don't know what this thing is. Don't know what it's singing about. I have no idea. There's no context for this at all. But he, she, they, it's a cheery creature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cheerful. That's a cheerful creature. And here's the song. Take a look. This should spur you on to Happy Monday.
Los pollitos dicen pío, 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 cuando tienen hambre, cuando tienen frío. La gallina busca el maíz y el trigo, le da la comida y le presta abrigo. Bajo de sus alas, acurrucadito, duermen los pollitos hasta los días. Los pollitos dicen pío, 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 cuando tienen hambre, cuando tienen frío. La gallina busca el maíz y el trigo, le da la comida y le presta abrigo. Bajo de sus alas, acurrucadito.
And it goes on and on and on. It doesn't stop. It has endless reserves of breath.
It's like a Duracell bunny.
It's like a togolosh, man. What is that?
I don't know, but they sound like she sounds like she has lung issues.
I don't know. Look,
because
I don't know what's going on
to
there.
get that song out.
What I will say is that I sent this to a friend of mine and said, "Happy whatever Friday or whatever it was." And then they replied, oh, "Holy Mother of God." That's all they said. So I was like, "All right, let's move on." And moving on is what we're going to do now with Shandor Larenty, because this guy has such an interesting life. If you follow him on social media, you'll see he is he's got lions around him the whole time, and he does all kinds of cool things that you would love.
Oh, yeah.
His life would just be perfect for you. And I'm very relieved that you weren't eaten by the lions, because you weren't here. You were meant to be here last week, and then it was traffic or something. But I immediately thought, oh, no, he's been eaten by the lions. So that didn't happen. But it's delightful to have you here. How are you?
Thank you guys for having me. It was the city that got me last week. It wasn't the animals.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited to finally be here with you guys. Actually made it this morning.
Great to have you here with us. So I've been following you on social media for a while, and James has too, and Leigh-Ann, I think you know who Shandor is too. So how did it all start for you? Because you don't just suddenly end up like petting lions.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I pet that dog?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it wasn't just like I woke up one day and I was like, hey, where's the nearest line?
Yeah.
It's something that I've pretty much grown up doing. My dad is an animal behaviorist. His mom before him was an animal behaviorist.
Wow.
I'm
So
actually
3
the
generations of
three
this.
generations.
Wow. Okay. That's
So
pretty
I've just kind of
amazing.
taken over the family line.
Wow.
And yeah, my family now has fur themselves. So
I mean, it would have been weird if you'd said, nah, it's not really for me. You know,
Oh, it
that's how you
happens.
grew up.
Oh, it happens.
It's weird.
Was there pressure?
There wasn't any pressure. I think it was something that happened so naturally and organically.
Yeah.
I've got 2 siblings. Neither of them do anything with animals. So, you know, my brother works in IT and I play with
Okay.
lions. So it's there's a very big contrast.
Well, what kind of things did you learn growing up from animals that you didn't from humans? Because I often think paying attention to animals, you see quite a lot about people in the way animals behave. Because we always think we're so superior, and we definitely are, you know, at the top of the pyramid. But actually, in so many ways, we are inferior in evolutionary biology terms to so many things that animals are and aren't doing. Is that your understanding?
I definitely think so. You know, everything in nature kind of everything has its purpose and everything happens for a reason. I think in terms of the behavior and the personalities, you know, when we think of animals, we think of, oh, those are lions or those are giraffes. But they've all got such unique individual personalities, which I think, you know, it's what makes my job exciting, is getting to understand the individual animal, the likes, the dislikes. And I think you can definitely associate a lot of their behavior and their likes and their dislikes to humans. I think there's a very close comparison to that.
So hyenas, because you also work with them a lot, they must be very, very interesting. I mean, you know, with lions, and I suppose all animals are interesting, but we don't think of hyenas as cute and cuddly, and we don't think of them as being particularly upstanding animals. You know, we always think of them as being these scavengers. They make funny noises. They stink. There's so much about hyenas that's just not instantly attractive, and that's not true either.
It's not. I love hyenas. Honestly, they're one of my favorite animals to work with.
Yeah.
Such cool personalities. They're so intelligent.
Yeah.
They can problem solve. So that's where you see these stories of them opening tents and going into the camps and like going into houses. Super, super intelligent animals. But like physically watching them problem solve things is amazing. They're emotive as well. So when they're happy, they smile. When they're sad, they cry. It's a female-dominated species, so the ladies are in charge. It's probably why they're so smart. But yeah, I think they're such cool animals. The Lion King gave them a very bad perception.
Yeah, maybe it's the Lion King that's responsible for their bad rep.
I had this conversation with someone the other day, and we were looking at the hyenas while we were having this conversation. They're like, if I have to think back, it was the Lion King that made me not like them. And you know, they do get a really bad rap. Although they do scavenge, so do lions. If you go places like the Ngorongoro Crater, more northern Africa, you'll find that the hyenas are the predominant predators and the lions are the predominant scavengers. So it really just depends on the population distribution within the area.
Okay, I mean, look, there's you with a hyena. What do you know the names of? Can you identify them just by seeing them?
So that is Stinky, the hyena.
That's Stinky. While talking about giving them a bad
her name
rap.
is Timber, but
okay,
rightfully named Stinky.
Okay.
And you obviously know these animals really well, and that's the key. No, if anyone else went up and like held that hyena's face like that, they'd probably get taken out.
100%. I mean, that's a 3.5 ton per square inch jaw pressure in that mouth. So your finger or whatever is going to come.
And
not even your finger, your hand's going to come clean off.
Them, the lions, all the others. So they know you. They know your smell. They know your appearance. They know it's you, and they behave differently with you than they would with any other primate.
Most definitely. So at number one, the animals have incredible facial recognition skills. So you know, they can differentiate people. It's quite amazing. They respond to your voices. I started working with these guys when I was very young. So
Huh.
I've grown up with them as they've grown up with me. So it's a very close bond in that sense. But most definitely, I mean, if someone, even with other handlers at the park, even my dad, that hyena absolutely hates him. So,
really?
they build connections with specific people. And it's not to say that I can go in and interact with any animal in the park. It's very specific characters, and you really have to have that connection and that trust without forgetting that it's an apex predator.
Yeah, so you say that the hyena hates your dad, but it's interesting to me how individuals will decide, well, we'll make an exception for that human, or how old were you when you were brave enough to go in there, or was it just something that you did from an early age that you didn't even think much about?
Is your dad like Steve Irwin? Did he dip you into the crocodile pit at a young
pretty
age?
much. So
Yeah.
there's the very first big cat that I got to go in with as an adult big cat was a cheetah by the name of Shatana. And I was 11 years old. Probably
Wow.
not. Don't do this at home.
No, I mean,
But-
this is you're a meal. at that
exactly.
age.
My dad had to go to work. There was no one to look after me, so I went with to work. And he's like, "Yeah, hold the lead." So we were out with her, and she was like, "That leg looks very tasty." I was quite a chubby child,
Oh.
like very juicy thigh. And she grabbed it, and I was like, "Hey!" And he looked at me and he's like, "Sort yourself out." And
You're about to be
yeah,
eaten.
moved her off my leg. And
What, just not today? You can't have this meat
exactly,
today.
I needed that still.
Sure.
Just for a few more years.
Would you give her a smack, or like how does it work with a cheetah? How do you dissuade them from chewing on your leg?
It's I don't want to say it's like a dog, but it's like a dog. You would do the same thing.
Okay.
So
Is that her?
Moved her. That's Cindy.
Okay.
But-
Very beautiful.
So
that is
Cindy's actually only got one eye. I don't know if you can see.
Okay, not so beautiful. I can't see the missing eye, but she's a lovely looking cheetah.
She's the sweetest thing.
Okay.
But
sorry, finish your story though with Shatana.
Shatana moved her off my leg. Best friends ever since.
You
so
didn't have to go for stitches, or
I had a few bite marks in my leg, nothing too hectic.
Okay.
And thankfully some of the only ones that I've gotten over my 18 years. But that cheetah was probably made the biggest impact out of any animal that I've worked with. So that was a rough start to the relationship.
And you said you became like best friends with her.
Honestly, so I lost my mom at a kind of around that time that I started spending time with her, and I think she helped me so much through that.
Really?
And I think that was kind of like the spark for me. Is I saw at the time I didn't fully notice it, but she made such an impact in my life. I was like, how can I make as much of an impact in their lives as they have in mine? And that's kind of how the journey started.
But they can sense too that you've experienced a tragedy.
100%.
And I find, and the reason I say that is, I mean, the scale is completely different, but my cats at home can
yes,
can
Leigh-Ann
tell
is a
when I've
famous
been
cat
through
lady.
a tragedy. And in fact, when my mum had her stroke, about 10 years ago, it's even longer now, I think. From that day, one of my cats started sleeping on my chest. She'd never done it before. And she did that until the day she died. They 100% can sense that tragedy in a person.
So they read you.
Yeah.
They do. And I think, when you have that emotional connection with them, some people listen to this and they think it sounds strange, but you experience it when you have that connection with any type of animal. It can be your dog at home. It's, they pick up on your energy and your vibes and, what you're going through and your behavior.
So Shandor, you get two camps now that are quite vocal about what they think human and animal interactions should be. There are those people who say we shouldn't interfere with them at all. We should leave animals alone. We shouldn't have anything to do with them. They should be completely left to their own devices. And if they get sick, they get sick and they die. And if they can't find food, they starve. And humans shouldn't interfere. And then you get those people who are like, well, actually, we're all on the planet at the same time. We have a responsibility to be involved with them. They didn't necessarily choose that, but now we have to be the ones who look after, a cub is found somewhere and the mother's
Considering
been
we were the
killed or
ones that
whatever.
displaced them.
Yeah,
we should
correct. So
take
we have a responsibility there.
yeah.
How do you see that working, and especially working at a place like you work, where people they come in with all kinds of ideas. They're not involved every day, but they come in from the outside and they're going to now tell you how to do what you do. How do you feel about those things? And do you have a particularly strong opinion?
I think it's it's been quite a strong debate over the last few years, and I think something I hear fairly often is all of these animals should be in the wild, and that's great. And I have the same ideal in an ideal world, but the reality is when someone says that, what wild are we talking about? We have our national parks, our private game reserves. The more and more people that are born every single day, the more space they need. Habitat depletion is a serious thing for these guys. Safe habitats that have not been turned into farmland, into communities. So like you were saying, these animals have been put in our care. It's a problem that I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it's a situation that we've inherited. And it's our responsibility to continue to look after them till the end of their days. But in that process is how can we make a difference? How can we educate? I mean, the park alone, the Leigh-Ann Safari Park, we take in roughly about 30,000 school kids every single year.
That's amazing.
Close to 60% of those kids come from underprivileged communities. So this may be the only means of them ever seeing a lion. They don't have the means to go to the Kruger Park or a lot of these private game reserves. So if you can change the perception of a small group of those kids, we're educating the conservationists of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a very important purpose to parks like ours. But again, in saying that, the Leigh-Ann Safari Park is just over 2,000 hectares, so it's a very big property. We also have a lot of naturally occurring wildlife. We sit very close to Lanseria with the talks of the smart city development. And I've worked on research projects there over the last 10 years. And some of our research areas, like if I have to go back into those same populations, a lot of the animals like the Likvans and so on that we're researching, like where we would see 40 in a few kilometer stretch, you're lucky if you see one now.
Oh, really?
So you can see the effects of the city moving further and further out. So although people come to see, the big animals, the charismatic megafauna, the animals that people build that emotional connection with, there's 100 other species that you may not even have heard of that call that facility home. And then actually occur, on the reserve. We have wild leopard, caracal, jackal, brown hyena, serval, and many, many other species. So it's really important, for parks like ours, they do serve a purpose.
Have you said they all have individual personalities, just like humans, I suppose. If someone had to land here as an alien and go and they met you or me, they might not have a very favorable opinion about the rest of humanity.
But a very different experience.
Are there some of the animals that you're especially wary of, or are you always on your guard? Because they are wild animals still. And we hear these horrible stories about how someone has been friends with this lion for 25 years and then he suddenly eats their head off. And you think, that came out of nowhere, but that's an animal. It's a wild animal. So how do you factor that in when you interact with them? Because you get up close and personal. These animals know you well.
It's like a whole process, right? So number one, growing up with a lot of these animals, you really understand their individual personalities. So you can generally tell when they're having a good day, when they're having a bad day. They're like us. They do have bad days. And when they're having those days, you need to kind of respect that. One thing I specifically do is I will always let the animal come to me. I never go up to the animal. And it's the easiest way for them to say, hey,
not in the mood.
Not today. And it's kind of, respecting that space. But at the end of the day, these are apex predators.
Wow.
The instinct is always still there. So one thing my grandmother taught me is complacency is the biggest killer. So you always have to, regardless of how cute and cuddly it looks, you always have to bear in mind that at the end of the day, this is a predator. Their instincts are still there, and it's respecting that. That's why it sounds weird when I say it, but I never recommend that people try and interact with predators and stuff like that.
Sure.
You need
to know what you're doing.
You need to build that respect and understand the individual personalities.
Wow. Okay, so tell me about the ones that you're most scared of. Like when you see one of these animals is having a bad day. I mean, a lion obviously is a very powerful animal. A hyena is a very powerful animal. I saw you with a giraffe just now. They're not going to get aggressive with you, but they can have, as you say, a bad day. And you get knocked by one of those quite hard. If it swings its neck at you, you're finished. That could kill a person, right?
Very, very quickly. I think the animal I'm most scared of is probably people.
Good answer.
No jokes.
No, good answer.
The animals you can often read quite easily. Exactly. Came out of nowhere. But people are always a little bit more difficult to read. But in terms of the wildlife, for the most part, I prefer the larger animals. The smaller animals, like all my bites and scratches, have always come from the really small things.
Like what?
Caracal, serval, things like that. Meerkats, actually meerkats.
Meerkats.
Not my favorite
Really?
thing. I worked on a research project with meerkats for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we were coloring and reintroducing them back into wild areas. The amount of bites that I've had from meerkats has been crazy. Worst little teeth, and they always hit your bone.
Well,
Ow.
I went to a goat cheese farm once.
You and the goats this morning.
There's a lot of goats.
What's wrong with you?
And there was a monkey that rode the horses, which was quite fun. But at one point I needed to go to the loo, and it's like at someone's house, this kind of weird factory farm thing. And in the bathroom was a meerkat, and I thought, oh, how sweet. But it actually came for me. And I was stuck in the bathroom because I had closed the door, and he came out of the bath or something. And I was actually petrified of him. They're cheeky little things.
These things that happen to you, it's unbelievable.
They're hectic little things. They do that little angry hop.
Yes.
And then they come for you. When that hop comes, there's a bite coming.
Well, I mean, they take out snakes. So they're not, they're not foolish little soft toys. It's amazing to me, though, how so many people in this country don't know anything, and they don't ever see these animals in real life. And I think it's so sad. I love the fact that places like your park exist, because it's also close enough to Joburg that people who've only got maybe 24 hours in the city, they can still go out and have a real authentic experience and interact with these animals.
There was one lion at your farm when I last visited, which was a long time ago. I don't know if you knew of his reputation, but he would take the tires off of the back of 4x4s.
How long ago was this?
It was a long time. Why?
I mean, I can't say it hasn't happened in the past, but for the most part, you're pretty safe.
No, because he in particular, I was there with my husband at the time, and very stupidly, we had biltong in the cubbyhole. So I think that got them reacting a little bit differently. It had also been raining, so the road was a bit muddy. But the one decided to...
He wanted to play.
Yeah, he wanted to play, and we were the wool and the ball of wool.
It's the rainy days. I always tell people, if you want to see animals, go on a rainy day. Lions, prime example, they're nocturnals. They sleep 16 to 20 hours a day naturally. So when it's raining and it's cool, they're super, super active.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well,
so a rainy day is a
it.
good day.
And we kind of got stuck in the mud a bit while this lion was chasing us. I was screaming, and my husband at the time said, "Stop screaming." And he turned around and went, "Wah!" And it was because we'd also had a tire on the back, and that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted to go for. That was his thing. So, yeah.
What are the close calls you've had? Because I'm sure there have been some occasions where you've gone, Whew, I'm lucky to get out of that alive.
So it's something you don't really think about in the moment. With the lions, I think there's probably one particular story that stands out. So George has a lioness in with him, and they accidentally had babies. I say accidentally. She was on a contraceptive and she fell pregnant on the contraceptive. Contraception is not foolproof. So just bear that in mind.
Yes.
Anyway, they had these cubs. So George and the lioness, they are hand raised. They've grown up with us, but their cubs are raised in the pride. So my interaction with the cubs is strictly based around what happens with their parents. But they were comfortable enough for me to be around them. But young male lions at around 2 years old, they get ousted from the pride.
Yeah.
And he was at that stage where he was starting to fight with George, kind of for dominance. And I was outside the vehicle one day. I was very far from the vehicle. And they do the wilder ones do like a growl when they want a treat. And they do a growl that like, hey, I'm coming to eat you. And my perception has always been animals will never.
And there's a fine line.
Hey, I'm coming to eat you. That's quite a thing. Okay.
I always have, I've always had that perception that the animals are not going to protect you. We attach human emotion to animals too often. Pride instinct is going to kick in, and they're all just going to join in.
Tickets for you.
Exactly. And that he literally just started coming for me. I was like, this is it. I've got nowhere to go. And the lioness came from the side and grabbed him, and George came running from behind me, knocked me to the side and grabbed him, and it gave me enough time just to get back into the vehicle.
Wow. So your lions rescued you from a lion.
Exactly. I got back into the vehicle and my knees are shaking, and there was like people in the car, and I'm like, so on this side over here, guys.
Oh my word.
Wow. My God. Ugh. Are there special things that you have to do? And we know that these animals are very peculiar about smell, about when last they were fed, all of these kinds of things. Are there things that you need to do? Let's say, for example, you're taking some people out and you're hoping to give them a really special experience, but obviously it depends on the animals. Are there special precautions you can take? Are there things that you can do? Are there ways that you can gauge how the animals are feeling that will allow you to know how much leeway you've got?
So I think in terms of the animals themselves, their behavior, the facial expressions, the body postures, with the animals that I work, and I specifically refer to the animals that I work with, they all have kind of unique ways of changing those kind of things when they're not having, a great day. So in terms of that, I can physically see, okay, our face is a little bit off today. Our ear posture is not great. Our body posture is not great. But I think that's the biggest reason I'll always let them come to me, because honestly, if they are having a bad day, they won't come over.
Yeah.
So that interaction is always entirely based on the animal. Like, they have to be up for it. And 9 times out of 10, they'll come over. It's actually very rare that they won't come over and say hello.
And look at you just playing with that lion's paw like that. It's incredible.
That's George.
Wow.
He weighs just over 250 kilograms. He's actually one of the biggest lions that we have. What's really cool with George is my dad worked with his dad. So it's like a generational thing again, where we've kind of moved down the generations. But he's incredibly sweet, incredibly cute, but he's a little bit of a diva as well.
Oh, yeah?
He's got like a very unique personality. He'll let you know when he's not having a good day, or he does this thing where he'll look at you just with the corner of his eye, and then he just turns and glances off into the distance.
Yeah, it's like putting you in your place.
You.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What sort of animals are just always fun? Which ones are the ones that you don't have to stress about?
I think
they're happy, they're chilled, they get along with you, they get along with whoever comes along, tourists, whatever. And then, by the way, I'm gonna have you just explain to tourists how they shouldn't get out of cars and things as well. We'll get to that.
Exactly. So I think some of the best animals are probably the giraffe. I think they're just the most chilled. We've got one giraffe, Purdy, and so that is Sky. She's actually a little orphan that we rescued. She's actually been released back into the reserve.
Okay.
Also super, super sweet.
But
But
those eyelashes, Leigh-Ann.
eyelashes for days.
Amazing,
They're
huh?
hectic. But giraffe, it doesn't look like it, but they've got like such hectic personalities.
Really?
You wouldn't think it, but I mean, we've got a giraffe, Zoe. She's also an orphan that we've hand raised that has been released back into the reserve. And I mean, when she was younger, she would run after us like we're trying to feed her, trying to clean, and she would run after us just to get the reaction. And she'll continue. She's continued to do that over the years. What's amazing is like Zoe being an orphan that was brought into us. We hand raised her. We released her back into the reserve. She has her own baby now that she's happily looking after out in the wild in the reserve. But I think it's kind of humbled her a little bit. She's a little bit more mellow. She's like, I see what you went through now.
Yeah.
Trying to
You
raise her.
see.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
tourists. Let's just talk about this for a second because people are so stupid.
It was a tourist many years back.
There's
Decades
so
ago.
many tourists who do stupid stuff.
There was a guy who was
I don't know.
like a Jesus guy.
I don't
Thought
know.
he was Jesus.
I don't have specifics,
disillusioned.
but there are people delusional. There are people who I don't know. They feel very brave, or they're stupid. They just don't know the rules. They don't read the rules. What kind of advice do you have for people so that they can behave themselves around these animals and not create a nuisance?
So, I think the biggest thing is just respecting the animal space. I mean, we don't allow any public predator interaction at the park. But, at the end of the day, these guys have very large spaces that you're coming into their home, their environment. I
mean, I can think of a few people I'd like to feed to lions, but we're not allowed.
I'm sure
to.
we can all think of a few.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, just keep your distance. This is one thing I say to people. So you'll always get those people that'll try and get as close as possible, get the best photograph. And they push those boundaries. But at the end of the day, you're pushing the boundaries of a wild animal. Respect their space. And I promise you, give them the distance. Just be present in the moments. And that is when the best sightings occur, when the animals are comfortable and they're happy. They do their thing, and that's when the really, really special moments happen.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming to spend some time with us this morning. And I'm very glad that you haven't been eaten by a lion.
I do have one more
We
question.
were worried about. Oh, go ahead, Leigh-Ann. I was about to wrap it up, but you go ahead. You go with your question.
Do you have opportunities to interact with animals that aren't at your farm? So, for instance, elephants, rhino, etc.
So I've had the opportunity, when we like if we've gone out to do rescues and stuff like that. It's very weird in saying this, but I will not actively go and try and interact with animals outside of the ones that I work with.
Yeah.
I've been to so many places and people will be like, "Come in," and I'm like, "No, I don't know your animal. I don't know their personalities. I like to feel comfortable in the space that I'm in, and respect the animals. So yeah, I won't actively go out and try and do it. Like, I'm a beach person. If I go on holiday, I'm straight to the beach. No animals there.
Well, you can follow Shandor online. He's at Shandor Larenty, and also go and visit him at the Lion and Safari Park. Very, very cool what they've got going on there. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks for coming to see us. And we will catch you on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. bright and early. Have an awesome week. Ciao.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer on danger, I'd hammer on warning, I'd hammer on love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a I bring it in the morning, I bring it in the evening.